If it comes to it, we can start without him by like 7, but we'll give him a chance. Okay, he's trying to reset his device. Hello, can you hear me, Dexy? Let me invite you to speak again.
I think it works.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
I can
Can
hear you as
everyone
well.
else
Okay.
hear him? I think everyone can hear
Yeah,
you. Okay.
we are good.
All right, we
Looks
can
like
start.
Discord mobile
It's
is
chopped.
not working very well.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I don't know if everyone in here was here when I explained, but I'm basically just gonna explain the way that this call is gonna work, and then I'll let both of you and myself introduce ourselves. So basically, the structure of this call is that we're going to one introduce ourselves, all of that, and then we're going to do like let's say 20 to 30 minutes or however long it takes to answer everyone's live questions in here. And the way that'll work is you'll just I think it's requesting to speak or raising your hand, I'm not sure which one, but you do that and then we'll run through everyone. You could do it multiple times, like you ask one question, later you have another one. We'll invite you up here to actually say your question out loud and then we'll answer you. Or you could ask in the VC question channel or just the chat in here. And then after like 20 minutes or so of answering live questions, we'll go through and answer the text channel questions and all of those for anyone who doesn't want to have to come up and speak live or anyone who's not here but asked a question in advance. And then for the last 10 or so minutes, I think the three of us could give our advice that we think like hasn't been touched on or any important things that haven't been asked that we think would be beneficial. And so I'll let both of you introduce yourselves first. Dexy, you can introduce yourself first.
Sure. I'd love to introduce myself here. Hello, everyone. My name is Dexy, and I am a second year electrical engineering major at Georgia Tech. And I've loved doing this for my entire life. I've always loved engineering, so it was. I guess I'm incredibly lucky to be able to have a position at some very great companies in the world. So currently, I'm interning at NVIDIA as a design engineer on their data center server platforms. I've also received offers from SpaceX and Tesla and other great, amazing companies. I've pretty much always passed my interviews and and I'm really, really passionate about this subject. So I'm glad to be able to answer any questions that you guys have today.
Awesome, thank you. Now, Masood, you can introduce yourself.
You hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we could hear you.
All right, cool. Hey everyone, my name is Masood. I'm a mechanical engineering student at the University of Waterloo. I'm in my third year. I've recently just finished my third internship with Tesla as a manufacturing engineer and mechanical designer. And I'll be joining Apple this fall for 8 months. But yeah, I've always been interested getting my hands on things, and that's kind of what led me to pursue mechanical engineering specifically. But yeah, just happy to help provide some advice to younger students.
What role are you gonna do at Apple?
It's a bit of like design and hardware engineering project management on the Vision Pro team.
That's awesome. All right, I'll introduce myself. I'm Diego. I go to University of Texas at San Antonio. I'm much less qualified. I've done my second internship this summer. The first one wasn't even mechanical. I'm doing mechanical engineering, and I just like creating a community for everyone who kind of doesn't have the resources or the people around them to help them like kind of just know what to do with their career and everything. And so, if you guys want to start, I'm just going to go in order of who has requested to speak, and I'll just invite you guys up. So, I'm going to do the first one now. All right, you can ask your question.
Uh, Hold on, give me a second. Let me go downstairs really quick.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Um, so I'm a junior, and so my question is going to be like a little surface level, but I'm wondering, like, because because I just completed my junior year, so I'm trying to get into, um, well, firstly, I plan to major in electrical engineering, so I'm trying to, get into it and learn about it before, I actually get to college, and I also plan to use this opportunity to like show the colleges that, I'm taking time on my own to explore the subject. So I'm just wondering, like, I've already spoken to someone and he's given me like a starter kit that I should invest in and start like messing with. But I'm just wondering, like, how you guys think I should go about this and like any other advice.
I can
Uh,
take this one.
yeah.
So, for one, I think the most important part is getting your classes in first and foremost. I think pretty much most, if not all, colleges you would benefit greatly from having taken Calculus 1 and 2, AP Calculus A and BC in high school. Not only is it going to knock out like a significant amount of time in college, but it's also kind of like for a lot of colleges now, it's kind of the minimum bar that you need in order to even be considered for the colleges having taken these calculus classes. So it's important that you do take these classes in high school, and you have plenty of time to still choose that class as a senior. It's also helpful to get started with physics. So I think there's physics 1 and then there's also physics C. C is the one that counts for college credit. 1 is not a calculus based class. So unfortunately, it won't count for any college credit. But I think it's still very important to have exposure in the physics classes to see if you like the classes or not. And then as far as getting exposure to electrical engineering, yes, getting started with a starter kit, I think, is a pretty good way of like looking at how the components kind of behave as a system because you get to plug different modules into like an Arduino and be able to code and get a project working on the system level. And I think that's very important because whenever you start building anything, the first thing that you think of is designing the system, right? It's how do all the pieces fit together, what pieces you need, and what sorts of things you need to consider to make a working project. So having that kind of having that intuition is very important in my opinion. So it's definitely a good way to go. But it's also good to get involved in more community things. So I did robotics in high school, first robotics challenge. That's a big one. Um, First robotics competition, sorry, FRC. That's a big one, and I led the team in high school, and that was a very kind of memorable experience. And everybody that I know now, like in college and in my internships, have all kind of had similar experiences in robotics teams. So if you have that opportunity in high school, definitely think you should go join them and put in some effort. And as long as you put in effort, you'll make a great impact. That's true for everything, even in college. If you want to join a club, put in the effort to do it, and you'll make a great impact no matter how much knowledge you have. It's the effort that really matters in the end.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, one thing I want to say is that, well, first, are you guys know about NSB, National Society of Black Engineers, or you guys haven't heard of that?
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, I'm involved in SB. So, well, this year I was membership chair for like the whole our junior chapter, and now this year, going into my senior year, I'll be the lead of one of our 1080 teams. So, um, I just
You're
wanted to
going
put
to
that
your
out.
senior year of college, right, or of high school?
No, no, high school, high school.
Okay, okay. I didn't
Yeah.
even know they did that
So
in high school.
yeah, we have a
I think
junior.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
These kind of like societies for like these communal societies. A lot of them exist for all sorts of different for all sorts of different communities, and they're prevalent like everywhere. It's in college, it's in high school, it's in the industry, it's in fields everywhere. I'm not personally involved, but I think it's a very cool initiative, and it's great exposure, and being able to kind of have a leading position is also a great experience for yourself. So don't give that up. I think that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
just wanted
know.
to put that out.
Yeah, I know places
To
like that. Like we have the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers at my college, and I know they also. I don't know if yours does this, but they have some big career fairs sometimes. I know there's one for black engineers. I don't know if it's the same one, but they have a very similar thing. I think it's called Afrotech or something. And
Oh yeah, that's a huge one, right?
yeah, like a huge career fair, like Apple, Google, all these different companies from all these different industries. And I'm pretty sure if you get involved at your school, you can, I don't know if you have to pay for it or if they pay for it, but you all kind of travel to this place and attend this fair, and it's like multiple days. And like besides a fun experience, it's really good to like get in front of the companies.
okay.
I do think that if you like doing this for real, you should continue doing it in college. Because in college it becomes even more important to have these connections and be able to have these communities. So it's good that you're doing it now, but like don't give it up once you go to college.
Yeah, definitely. And then really quick, with the Afrotech stuff, is that like hosted at a different location every year, or is it just one set location?
Let me look that up real quick. I know
I
for
think
SHIP
it's
it
hosted in like a
rotates.
big convention center, and it moves around the U.S. all the time.
Okay. And then, so just to wrap things up, I want to go back to what you were saying, um, with the classes. So you say, because right now I'm planning to take AP Statistics next year, but I could take Calc 1 and Calc 2 at my community college in the area for free because our school offers that. So would you recommend doing that instead of taking it at school, or just switching it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so if you have AP, it's kind of a trade-off, right? The reason why you want AP is because most colleges will take that as credit, which means you don't have to do it again in college. Right? Once you take the AP class, you send them your score, you're good to go. You don't have to take that class again. But if you don't have that and you have dual enrollment in like a community college, that also works just fine for the most part. So either ways works. You just want to get some exposure in calculus before you go to college. I think that's super important.
Okay. So would you say that's like a make or break for a lot of people? Like,
Um, as in like, I
like,
think it's super important because like pretty much like the minute you go to college, all your classes are going to be calculus based, right? Like your first physics class is going to be calculus based. And go from that, you have to take differential equations for electrical engineering, and that's calculus based. And then all your electrical engineering classes will use calculus and differential equations and even calc 3 stuff. So it's like that's why when people say there's math involved in engineering, it starts at the most basic level, which is calculus, and you want to so you want to get exposure to that as early as possible to prepare yourself. And if you're good at it, then you don't have to take it again in college.
okay. Well, man, I just want to say thank you to all of
Hmm.
you for answering my questions. And I don't want to take so much time. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Yep, thanks. And if you ever have another
No
one,
problem.
just request to speak again. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
move you to audience and bring in the next person. Okay, hello.
Hello,
Yeah, we can hear you. What's
can
up?
y'all hear me?
Hmm.
All right, cool. So I'm an incoming freshman in Florida. I'm going to UCF, and I just had a couple questions. So obviously, what you guys, both of you guys did, I mean, it's unbelievable having offers from such like great companies in your second and third years. And I was just wondering, like, based on your experience, what do you guys think, like, what got you to this point, to having all these offers? Like, what were like the big moments, and looking back, you can like notice like those were really important.
Just to,
Oh
what
yeah.
major are you? What are you majoring in? Or what
Oh,
do you plan
sorry.
on
Yeah, I'm
doing?
going to do aerospace. I started off with aerospace, but depending on what happens my first year, I might switch to mechanic or something else.
Okay. I'll let Masood answer first.
Yeah. I would say starting off freshman year, my school's kind of weird. We have like a weird co-op program that they have like their own job board for like companies to hire from. So just applying to internships on that job board initially in first year, it wasn't like the best internship, but it kind of got me something. And then yeah, for like getting the Tesla and all the other offers, I would say it's just a numbers game a lot of the time because um, it's a lot of luck, I would say, but also yeah, you also want to be able to present yourself well because I know a lot of people who are probably smarter than me, know a lot more than me, but just being able to present your information well on your resume, your portfolio, um, and yeah, putting in a lot of those numbers, applying a lot, reaching out on LinkedIn. I've gotten a couple of interviews from just messaging people on LinkedIn saying, hey, I find what you're doing is cool, so could we like do a coffee chat or something, and then getting referrals through there, or just seeing people saying that they're hiring on LinkedIn, messaging them saying I'm interested, giving them my resume and my portfolio. But yeah, I would say a numbers game, being able to present your information well, and working on like whatever field you want to go into, whether it's like design, manufacturing, electrical software, having like the projects to back up what you want to do, and yeah.
I wanted to. I'm not someone who's currently interning at one of these companies, but I'm someone who's actively working towards it, and I believe that eventually I will be. And one thing that I'm doing that I've noticed has already started to make a difference is one, actively like getting involved in stuff, kind of like what Dexy was saying earlier, like getting into communities. I always say this, get into clubs, things like that at your college that will give you more real world experience versus just your classwork and like learning the theory. And then I heavily agree with the LinkedIn networking stuff. Like I've gotten so many sort of Zoom calls with senior engineers at places like Google, Apple, stuff like that. People you think wouldn't respond to you, but they actually will, especially if you're a student who really shows that you're curious because they were once in your shoes. And then another thing I kind of did that I'm sure will help a lot is one, narrowing down what specific kind of industry or at least broad field you want to go into, whether it's manufacturing, whatever, like product design. And then like going and looking at job listings for those sorts of jobs and seeing what specific skills they list and then kind of trying to learn those outside of school to give yourself a bit of a head start, especially since I'm pretty sure you're either going into first year. So like that gives you a lot of time to get ahead and like prepare for all of these internships and build the right skill set targeted for the career that you want. Now, Dexy,
All right,
if you're up.
thanks.
I would say,
Oh, sorry.
oh, yeah, no problems. I would say the kind of the easiest and most rewarding thing that you can do for yourself is just to get involved, right? Your school is going to have lots of clubs. Uh, UF is pretty good. I know some people from there, and it's like it's it's really if you put effort into doing the clubs and if you love doing it, you're gonna make a significant contribution, right? It doesn't matter how much knowledge you know. It's like as long as you love doing it and you put effort into doing it, you're gonna make a great contribution. And in interviews, the most commonly asked question is going to be something like, "Tell me about a time where you solved a problem." That's going to be one of the most common problems that you're going to get asked. And so having that experience inside of a club makes you be able to confidently tell them, right, a time where you solved the problem, you resolved the conflict, you made a trade-off, you you used your engineering skills to make something happen. Having that experience allows you to really talk about it during your interviews, and that's how you crush your interviews is by having those experiences. And so it's a very rewarding thing, I think, to get involved and join clubs, because you'll find lots of friends, you'll find lots of like-minded people, and you'll have a place where you can call home. So it's a really, I think, easy thing to do and very rewarding.
All right, thank you. And then regarding I thought I heard you here, like, I don't know if you took physics one in high school, Dexy. Did you take that one or no?
Yeah, I took 1 and C as well.
So you took the algebra based one?
Yes, that's physics 1.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of like how different, I mean, obviously the college physics one is calculus based, but the principles of physics one is the same, right? Just
Yeah,
with the
so
forces and
it
stuff.
all boils down to the same equations, right? It's the same equations you can do in algebra, but once you get to the calculus level, you can say, oh, you don't really need to think about those algebraic equations anymore, because you can just take the derivative of something to get the same result, and that's really the same. That's the only difference really is that. So I think even though the algebra physics class does not count for college credit.
I don't know if you cut out, but we can't hear you anymore. I don't know if he can hear us anywhere either. Let me message him. But I think what he's trying to say is that even if it doesn't count for the college credit, it's still like very useful to take. I think he's gonna try to leave and rejoin.
Yeah. Is it bugging? Oh yeah.
Yeah, for him it has been. I don't know why. It might be his internet or something. Hold up, let me message him. But yeah, definitely still take that class because, like he said, even though it's not the exact same. Let me reinvite him.
Well, yeah, I already took it. I took the exam, well, my senior year, and I think I got a 4 or 5, so I think I got a pretty good understanding of it. But
Mm,
I was just wondering if the calculus changed everything or not.
Okay, sorry for the
yeah, we
disconnect.
can
I
hear you
think
now.
Discord is behaving poorly. But yeah, the base content is going to be like exactly the same. It's almost like the same thing. It's just the calculus makes it so that you don't have to use the algebraic equations sometimes. So if you have exposure to it already, I think it's going to be very easy for you.
All right, that's great. And then just one last question for now, regarding like class scheduling. Um, so how many classes did you guys stick with the typical 5 classes per semester to be able to fit in also like all the clubs and stuff, or did you guys like gear more towards 4? Like, how would you guys organize it?
For me, I took I think 14 hours. One was like this lab, and I think 15 is kind of like a sweet spot where if you have good time management, you could still make time for everything. I think more than that, you kind of start sacrificing. But I think 12, if you're taking 12 a semester, if you can and still graduate on time, then I'd say do it. But otherwise, there like you guys might think differently, but I would say try to go around 15 and just work on the time management to make sure you have time for everything. But I'll let Deb answer too.
I can't really speak on that because I go to school in Canada. And I don't really have a choice. They just give me 5, 6 courses a semester, and I just run with whatever they give me for my program.
I think Dexy lagged out again or something, but well,
Can
basically
you hear
you
me?
can, yeah, we could hear you. We could hear you now.
Okay, well, I can answer, I guess. Yeah, Canada, I think whenever I look at people in Canada and their schedules, I'm like, damn, that's hard. Because they have classes like back to back to back.
Yeah, it's
It's a
rough.
lot more packed than in the US. In the US, at least you get to choose your schedule. Um, I've got friends taking like 18 hours and they have a 4.0 and they do fine in clubs. I'm like, what the heck, man? I've got friends who are like really cracked like that. I'll be honest, I'm not. I can't do 18 credits and keep a 4.0 in all my classes. That's not me. So I'll reduce my workload to something that I can handle and still have fun with clubs. So it depends on the person. You can try out. You can try out easy in college, starting easy, and if you think that's good for you, then you can go up with more credits. Or you think that you coasted through high school is easy for you, and you want to keep that same pace where you have classes back to back to back, you can take more credits in college. That's no problems as well. It's really dependent on you, I think, just how much you feel is comfortable and what's the best plan for your education.
Yeah, like what I would
Okay.
say is take 15 because your first year your classes won't be like extraordinarily difficult, especially your first semester. I'd say take 15 and see how it works and then adjust accordingly from there.
Okay, because I mean, I heard a lot of people say that you don't want to tank your. I mean, of course, GPA matters to a certain extent, as you said in like your videos and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to tank my GPA my first semester,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like,
You want to do as good as possible. And I think 15 hours is kind of a good sweet spot to, like, obviously, like you said, everyone's different, but I think it's a sweet spot where most people can do that, get good grades, and still have time. I mean, that's what I did. I took 15 hours. I still had time for clubs. I still got good grades, all that stuff.
yeah, because right now with the schedule I had planned out, I have 12 credits because I had a lot of my general electives that you need to graduate. I got knocked out, like
Hmm.
all of them from AP courses. So I kind of have some like leisure, I guess, for like not having as many courses. So I was just gonna start off by 12 and then maybe go up. I was
Yeah,
just
you could
curious to
definitely
see
do
how you
that
guys
too.
were doing it. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna have more questions later. But yeah, that's good for now.
Yep. Thank you. All right, I'm going to move you to audience, bring in the next person.
Hi, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. First of all, I just want to say thank you for organizing this. It's really much appreciated.
Hmm.
Um, I was just wondering, so I go to Waterloo as well. But I'm not in Mechie, I'm in systems, but I am interested in like mechanical type jobs. So I'm looking for my I guess third co-op right now. And so I've been kind of like doing a little bit of research. I have some stuff on my resume from like project in terms of projects, like classes where I've like fiddled around with like CAD and like a bit of like Arduino projects. But I feel like they're really like basic, and so I want to start gaining some like relevant experience that I can put on my resume. I like stuff that deals with like GD&T and like industry processes, FEA, CAD, all that type of stuff. Because I was kind of interested in product design. I'm not sure yet. I just want to like start playing around. So I was just wondering what if you guys did any like personal projects on your own, what type of projects would you recommend, or are there like any resources that you think are helpful to learn, like specifically in like mechanical broadly, but if you guys are doing like I know like if you're doing like mechanical design or any of that, if there's anything that you think would be helpful to like gain relevant experience in that.
I'll let Masood answer since he goes to Waterloo.
All right. Yeah. In terms of projects, I kind of just did what I was interested in. I kind of got interested into automotive. Kind of into the automotive industry, and I kind of started doing automotive stuff, and then did some little robotics projects like robotic arm. I think you can find a lot of resources for like small projects like that to get you started in. Um,
Hmm.
but I would say if you want to get those types of experience like FEA, GD&T and stuff, I would join a design team. Um,
Okay.
maybe like the Formula Electric team that we have.
Yeah, I was
And they're
looking
really
into
good too.
that.
Yeah, that team
Um,
or like Midnight Sun. Um,
yeah. I'm just
yeah,
on co-op right now, so I was like kind of wanting to start stuff now because I feel like it's difficult to like integrate when I'm not on campus. But like I was looking into it to see if I could start doing stuff like remotely. But definitely when I'm back like next semester, definitely I'll look into joining.
yeah, yeah. I would say yeah. Like if you want to learn a specific projects, like maybe find something that you're interested in and kind of in the field that you want to go into, and then just list out what you want to accomplish from that project. Like if you want to learn GD&T, then from that design project, make drawings from that, make do your GD&T. If you want to do FEA, maybe do a static study. Start learning how you can implement what you want to learn into that project and listing that out, and then I guess you can come up with steps on how to complete it. And then yeah, of course, those design teams will give you that real world experience. And I know a lot of big companies like Tesla and stuff like directly hire from like UWFE and Midnight
Mhm.
Sun. I know from speaking with some recruiters, they say they usually hire from those like design teams. So I would say definitely join into that. I know they give you a lot of flexibility, especially if you are on co-op to do like projects online, and they'll just give you like what you want to do. But yeah, it's definitely more hands-on, especially on the bigger design teams, because there's a lot of people involved in that. So
For sure, yeah.
if you're going into that, you be a little bit prepared. Of course, it's all with your own commitment, but if you want to get into like the bigger projects, they definitely are looking for students who are more committed, just because there's such a popular team.
Right, for
And
sure, yeah.
and since you're on co-op, like you said, you can't like actively do those right now. I'd say if you want to get ahead, one, like if you're not completely familiar with GD&T and all that, like taking some sort of courses, watching videos, just educating yourself on the matter, like whatever
Hmm.
software you're going to use for simulation, kind of getting more familiar with it, practicing. That way, when you return, you can kind of hit the ground running and you'll already have that
Right.
background. But you could also like when like you said, just do personal projects like a robot arm if you want to, something like that, and then apply those skills on it. Like imagine if you were making it for mass production or something, and like figure out what tolerances make sense, all that, like make a drawing for it, even though it's not actually going to be mass produced, kind of like get in the mindset of designing things with that like in mind.
Right, okay. Are there any like resources like specifically that you ever use, like YouTube videos or like LinkedIn Learning or stuff that come to mind? Or should I just go ham and just start researching videos?
I mean, or I'll let him answer because he goes to Waterloo.
Uh, yeah, I would say LinkedIn Learning is a very good source for like software like CAD, FEA. YouTube has a lot of resources, but sometimes they might get unstructured or unorganized, so it's kind of hard to
Right, yeah.
find one. So LinkedIn Learning is a good source. There's this one guy for GD&T on YouTube that I used to watch. His name is R. Dean Odell, and I think
Dean Odell. Okay.
he explains it pretty dumbed down, because I feel like it can get kind of complex, especially for like someone who's
Hmm.
new to it. But yeah, Diego, if you want to add to that as well.
I was going to
Okay,
say the
okay,
same thing.
found it, yeah.
Also, can you type that name into the chat? Because I might also want to look into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Artine Odell or whatever it was.
I think I just found it, yeah. But I'll let him say it.
All right. Do you have any other sort of
Um,
questions?
I did, but I'll wait and see if anyone else has some. But thank you guys.
Mm-hmm. All right. If anyone else has any questions, you can raise your hand and request to speak. Otherwise, or if you already spoke, you can also raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll move on to like the actual text questions. Okay, someone raised their hand.
Um, yeah, I just had a couple more questions
Mm-hmm.
regarding um so you guys were talking about like the specifics, like I guess the niches, like product design and all that. And like how important are those like in terms of like cuz honestly right now like I mean I was a part of TSA for a couple of years. I've worked on projects before, but I'm not really sure what I want to focus on yet. So like how important is that when applying to like internships and stuff like that?
I think in the beginning, you don't have to have like your exact niche narrowed down. I mean, obviously, it'd be helpful if you knew from the very beginning exactly what you wanted to do, but I like it's not necessary that you do, and most of the time, it's not even beneficial that you do because then you kind of pin yourself to this career path that like without exploring other things. And I think you'll have a lot of time over your years. Like that's what internships are for. It's kind of like a free trial of this career path. So you don't really have to have it all figured out immediately in the beginning. It's like something you'll figure out along the way, but it does help to kind of think about it at least a little bit, like look into videos to kind of get an idea, because then that will help you narrow down kind of the skill set that you need to follow that path.
I see. Because I mean, I was gonna start working on the personal. I mean, I already have started working on the personal project, like the ship, and I don't know. I don't think that really like incorporates any like specifics. So I don't know if I was gonna switch it or anything, but I guess I'll just stick to it because I guess it just does like demonstrates many skills
Yeah,
in a
your
way.
first
So
project doesn't need to be like this insane applying every single skill, you know? Like it's pretty normal to start with something like your first project is a little ambitious compared to most people's. Like you're already doing a great job.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's fun to do, but yeah, I'll probably just stick to it and look into more specifics in clubs and stuff when I join the school and see what they're doing over there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
like if your school has an aeronautics or rocketry or anything like that club and you already kind of have the experience, then that'll help you get on whatever main project they are. Because I know our club, I mean our university, the one I go to, has an aeronautics and rocketry club, and I had joined it and I kind of had no experience at all. And so I kind of didn't really get to contribute much to their main rocket project that they were working on. But there were people who were kind of like you who had done even just a little bit before, and they got to like kind of hit the ground running, get more involved earlier than I did.
Oh, all right, that's great. And then I mean, what do you just a general topic like? You guys had many internships. I was just wondering, what do you guys do during your internships? Like, what did the companies usually make you do? Like, did it make you use like CAD softwares and designing stuff? I mean, I know you do design, so I assume yeah, in a way.
I'll let Masood answer first.
Yeah, mine was kind of half manufacturing, half design. So yeah, I was either just designing new things on CAD or just on the field, on the manufacturing line, helping with solving issues and then yeah, I also spent a lot of time in meetings. Yeah, just trying to solve problems with like the other teams that were there. So yeah, I was between design on the line and meetings. I don't know if anything specific you'd want to know.
I know
Well,
I know it
oh,
also
so you can.
varies depending, sorry for interrupting you. It varies depending on like the level of internships. I know some, like for example, if you're interning at Apple, they'll give you a lot more ownership than if you're like a freshman entering at a small company. So like the difference is huge depending on where you're interning and also what role it is. Because I at the company I'm interning at, there's like I'm a freshman, rising sophomore, but there's like senior students. And what I've been doing is I've just been using like SolidWorks to design parts, making drawings, like doing tolerancing, all that stuff. But then some of the other people are like doing their whole entire product, whereas I'm kind of doing a small task under someone else. So like it'll kind of evolve as you go.
I see. And then, I mean, the parts that they're making you like work on in SolidWorks and all that, like how complicated are them? Because I passed I don't have the professional license, but I have the CSWA, and I can do pretty decent on making parts. Like the ship I'm modeling is going pretty well, but I mean, you see these parts that are like super complicated. Do you guys work on those? Like, do I have to? I mean, I'm
I
gonna keep improving my SolidWorks skills, but do I have to take a specific course or no?
I think in terms of improving, it's just going to be practice working on different projects, clubs, all that stuff. It like for me, my first part that I kind of designed was a very simple, like anyone who's passed the CSWA could make this part. Like it's not that complicated, and the company you're interning at, hopefully for the most part, knows that you're not like some crazy expert with SolidWorks. They know that you're like sort of entry level skill level with it, and so they'll give you kind of increasing difficulty parts. If something's too hard, they'll probably give you an easier part. Like they'll kind of cater to your skills. They're not going to throw you in the deep end for the most part.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time, and I'm done for now. So thank you.
All right. Does anyone else want to get up here and... Okay, someone just did. Alex, I just invited you to... Alex, okay, there you go.
Hello.
All right, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Alex. I'm a freshman or going into my freshman year at Cal Poly Pomona as a mechanical engineering student. And I'm just a little bogged down about the um, requirements or things I should do my first year in order to be ahead, maybe get an internship or be close towards an internship. And um, I've been working on some projects, maybe some skills, but I don't know how necessarily uh, how it's important or um, how important it is, yeah, towards getting internships if they like care that much about it, or if it's just like something anyone else can do, and how much meaning it has that you followed through and did like some sort of project that might not have been the most difficult thing, but it was still some sort of project. I was just wondering about your opinion on that.
What I would say is if you're looking for internships like the summer after your freshman year or sometime during your freshman year, more than anything, like they know that you haven't really taken the deep engineering classes yet. They know that you don't know all of the like intricacies of what you're doing. So what you're trying to show for the most part is just that you have the initiative and the curiosity to do things that are outside of school because you are genuinely curious and passionate about what you're doing. So it's much less, I mean, it matters what skills you're learning, but it's a lot less what exactly it is that you're doing and more the fact that you're doing something to begin with. Obviously, like the main skills are going to be CAD, like 3D CAD, just learning how to design, getting better at that because that's for the most part one of the main skills mechanical engineers use. But in terms of these specific little niche skills, those won't really matter as much. Most of your early internships, especially freshman year, will kind of teach you that stuff on the job. They won't expect you to know. It's more just demonstrating your initiative and your curiosity and like your actual drive as an engineer.
I would say getting an internship is not only getting your resume passed. You also have to pass the interview, and a critical part of passing the interview is by being able to answer some of the behavioral type questions. Like I said, you're going to be commonly asked questions like, "Tell me about a time where you made a compromise, you solved the problem, you had a challenge." Sometimes some companies will ask you to kind of tell them your steps of debugging an issue. If you had something that didn't work, why did it not work, and what steps did you do to make it work? And the only way you're going to be able to answer these questions is if you've had actual experience doing these things. And you get experience doing these things by building your projects. So really the takeaway is that by doing your projects, you get experience of actually, doing engineering by trying new things out and having problems and solving problems and having compromises and solving issues and things that you didn't expect. And that's going to be very, very valuable to you when you get asked questions on your process, on your thinking, on what makes an engineer an engineer. And so it doesn't matter what you do in your projects as long as you do these things. You start something from start to finish. You do something from start to finish. It's going to be very valuable to you.
I agree, and you could also practice interviews. Like there's most schools have mock interview like centers or events where someone will actually pretend to be someone interviewing you, and you can kind of practice answering those questions because a lot of them will kind of tear apart your resume. Not like your early interviews, but especially later on, they're gonna ask. I know Dexy said he's been asked questions until he just can't answer them. Like they'll see how deep you can go, and so
Oh
like
yeah,
just
this is it's a very common thing. You'll be asked like sometimes you'll be asked like a very kind of general question, like I need to design a system, tell me how to design it. And you might be tempted to just start answering the question, but really what they're looking for is, can you ask questions to them to get more information, right? What are the requirements? What are my constraints? What sort of compromises do I have to make? You have to think in a deeper level. They like people who think in a deeper level. And again, to get that experience is really about building things and having your own failures, finding out what you did that didn't work, and then you'll understand, okay, so these are the compromises I have to make, these are the things I have to watch out for. And so next time when you get asked a question like that, you'll know exactly what sort of information and details you need in order for your thing to work.
And one thing I will say is that might sound kind of intimidating, especially as someone who's a freshman who might not know like the deepest level of everything that they're doing. And you kind of don't need to at first, but it's more keeping that in mind and just actively building that knowledge that eventually one day you will be able to go deep into those questions. Like I know in my interview for my first internship, they asked me questions about my projects, like the process behind it, step by step, but they didn't completely like tear it down to its very fundamentals because as a freshman, they didn't expect me to know all of that. Obviously, if I applied to Apple and I somehow landed an interview, then they would. But for the most part, the sort of more entry level internships at smaller companies won't need you to know all of that. It's more of just developing that over time for when they will.
Yeah, I think also to add on that, everyone here that's at least I would say in high school, you're already ahead of a lot of students. I would say you don't need to worry that much because when I was into going into uni, I didn't know a single thing about mechanical engineering. I didn't touch a single software, nothing. It's all a process. You'll learn. Just yeah, again, like what Diego and Dexy said, just putting yourself, getting involved in teams, projects, and yeah, it's just all a process.
Okay, Alex, do you have any other questions or anything?
Thank you for answering my questions and reassuring me, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing and um, keep making more connections and uh, making some projects. I just have more questions, more about some personal projects about your experience in college and interviews and maybe in your internships. And my first question was like, what was the most helpful feedback you got during interviews or from mentors?
I'll let one of you two answer first.
Um, I would say for interviews, um, one of the most helpful feedback tips I've gotten was to slow down and think about the question, especially for like technical interviews, where they're asking hard problems that they're not specifically looking for the right answer, but just how you think. Being able to take a step back and really slow down and try to break it down was one of the tips I was given because I was just kind of I didn't really know how to answer the question at the time, and I was just kind of just blurting random things out under nerves and just not being able to know the question. So I guess that was one for interviews. During internships, feedback I would say is putting yourself out there was one of the feedbacks I was given. Is just being able to talk to people. Don't be just that shy intern sitting in the corner. Um, Getting to know people on your team, networking, and that will help with getting referrals in the future, but also just being able to work well with your team. And it'll just make your internship experience so much more better if you're like able to have good conversations with the people around you and you're not just shy and awkward.
Yeah, I really agree. A lot of people say like closed mouths don't get fed. Like if you're not kind of advocating for yourself and putting yourself out there trying to meet people, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to get the opportunities that you want. And so it's really a matter of just putting yourself out there, meeting people. This goes for life as well. Like in college, I'd highly recommend you, I mean, if you're living on campus, not be in your dorm. Like be in your dorm as little as possible, be outside meeting people, joining clubs, even like intramural sports, anything like that. Like just trying to meet people because one, it just makes your life more enjoyable, and two, as a result of having a broader network, there's more inbound opportunities, just like by the very nature of knowing more people. Dexy, if you want to add anything.
One of the actually the thing that I keep getting advice that I keep getting repeated over and over again is nothing to do with your career or school. It's actually I was told to get your 401k in as early as possible by many people.
Yeah.
Lot of the people I've talked to said they didn't think it was very important when they started their career. They're like, okay, I don't need the 401k, I don't need Social Security, I don't need to worry about saving up for retirement. And then once you're at the point where you want to consider, a plan for your future, you're like, oh shoot, on the I missed out so much on savings and getting that interest. And so when you make your money in your first internship, think about putting your money into your 401k. A lot of companies will match whatever you put into your account, and so take advantage of that kind of as early as possible during your career, so that you can actually afford to retire in today's economy.
I agree. You could also start with even just like a Roth IRA if you don't work anywhere or your company doesn't do that. That's kind of like a whole other conversation, but definitely like being more financially literate and kind of planning for your future, all that stuff is very important. And like the earlier
Yeah, I'm
you
not
start,
going
the
to
more time.
pretend like I'm an expert on this subject. I don't really know much about it, but it's something that I keep hearing over and over and over again. So I think, if I keep hearing it over and over again, it must be super important
Hmm.
because it's everybody has the same experience regarding this.
All right, do you have any? Oh, someone in the chat said stock options, look into stock options, especially if you get hired by a growing firm. Oh yeah, like compensation, like stock. Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other sort of questions, Alex?
Thanks for answering those questions. And I just have one more. Kind of already touched upon this a little bit, but it's like, what's the one most underrated thing you've done in your college experience that you think helped you just develop, like grow and like be a better person throughout your years in college?
I think one piece of advice that I've gotten is that you kind of fall to the level of your systems, meaning that if your life is not well organized, it doesn't matter how ambitious or motivated or driven you are. If you don't kind of design a life in an environment around that facilitates and makes it as easy as possible for you to do the things you want to accomplish, whether it's simply just like planning your day, even things like I used to kind of wake up and go immediately on my phone or snooze and kind of like be lazy in the morning, but I started just putting my phone in a different area of my room or in a separate room so that I have to actively get up and do stuff before I can go on my phone. And just kind of like creating a life that makes it as easy as possible for you to be productive and promotes productiveness without like burnout and anything like that is very important and matters, in my opinion, way more than your individual motivation and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would also add just like a general thing in college and in engineering, that imposter syndrome is real, especially when you see like peers and other students around you succeeding. But everyone has their own, pace to where they're trying to get to, and everyone's in the same situation. Everyone's always trying to do better and try to be like someone else who's doing better than them, or better than them, I'd say in quotations. But I would say, yeah, comparison's the thief of joy. So just think about, if you're, as long as you're trying to do better than yesterday, last week, last month, or last year, um, as long as you're trying to do better, you're winning. So don't try to compare yourself to others, especially in college. It's rough.
Hmm. Dexy, if you have anything that you want to add.
I think the advice given out are all pretty good. I think for me personally, I think the thing that really made a difference for me was really just connecting with different people at school. Like not connecting because I need something from them, but because I have like a genuine interest in what they do. Um, One of the kind of more memorable connections for me was actually somebody at our school that's not a professor. His job is actually as a researcher. So he works for our school's like research department, and he does all sorts of like research contracts. It's not to do with any of the like the academic things, and he's the one that invented IPC 2581, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's a standard that's being used by all over the world now, as a way to communicate like circuit board designs. So if you need to have a circuit board built, you use this 2581 format to send your specifications to the manufacturer. And nobody really knows, like, well, not nobody really knows, but the history of it now is kind of forgotten, right? Not many people think about the history of this standard, but it was invented by him. So I had a chat with him about like the history of the standard and how it came to be, and what happened in the industry that drove the standard. And he was telling me all sorts of things about the standard and what sort of things he's working on now, and all this stuff that's, I think, really cool, and like really made me more aware of the industry and of what's going on in this world. And so you'll find all sorts of connections like this at your school. And so just don't be afraid to reach out to everybody and just have a genuine interest in what people do.
You have any other sort of questions?
No, not for now. Thank you for answering my question and providing your feedback. I appreciate it a lot.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. All right, I'm gonna move over to the voice chat questions. We might not get to all of them by 8. You guys don't have to stay. You can if you want, but I'll stay until we answer all of them. I'm just gonna ask it, and then we can all give our thoughts. The first one is, do you have a guide to cold outreach on LinkedIn? If either of you wants to answer first, I'll answer after you.
Um, I don't I don't necessarily have like one template that I use for like every single person. I kind of just message them depending on like what their experience is, if I have anything in common with them, or if they have had like a specific posting on their LinkedIn. But yeah, I would say like if for a job, for example, if you saw someone say, "Hey, I'm hiring on my team," I would just message them and say, "Hey, I'm interested. I have experience in X and X. Looking for I graduate college in this year, and then yeah, here's my resume and portfolio. Looking to speak with you or how I can contribute to the role of the team." But yeah, I would say yeah, try to find one thing I would suggest is just try to find something in common you have with, if so, and it's kind of like a good conversation starter for reaching out to them on LinkedIn.
I agree, and what I found, as like I've done a ton of LinkedIn outreach, and I've kind of narrowed it down to a semi-successful set of steps, and it's really like a huge numbers game. A lot of people will not respond to you or not really give you good answers, but it's just a matter of getting as many people to add you back as you can and just sending out messages, but not just like sort of a bot way, like actually kind of slightly doing your homework about them, seeing what their career path looked like, and kind of finding that point of connection between you and them, and genuinely being interested in what they do compared to like just reaching out and sending your resume and being like, hey, would you refer me? And I would also never suggest outright asking for a referral ever, because it's like if someone's talking to you and then you realize they were just wanting to get like your money or some information out of you. It helps to actually build a connection, and then hopefully in the process they like you enough to refer you, or you ask them for like a resume review or something down the line, and they read your resume and they realize that you're actually a good candidate and end up referring you organically and naturally rather than a forced referral. And also, anyone who will refer you just because you ask will do the same for everyone else, which means that their referral within the company probably doesn't hold much weight.
Yeah, I would say for sure, like you have to build a connection with that person first, somewhat, because yeah, an empty referral is not really gonna get you anywhere. And they can't really fight for you or kind of refer and say, hey, this is a great candidate unless they kind of know you, have seen your resume, talked with you, or chatted with you. And one thing I'd also suggest, I know Diego said this a couple of times as well, don't reach out to recruiters because they get like thousands of
Hmm.
messages every day. Just try to talk to like an engineer, a hiring manager for a specific role. And yeah, that's kind of an easier way to get your foot in that door.
Yeah, the recruiter is kind of like trying to break into a house through the front door. It's like that's the most used area. That's where everyone tries to go, and it's not going to really do much for you. Whereas if you kind of try to go through the back door or a window, which is in this case an engineer on the team or department you want to work in, then that kind of, at the very least, you can just ask them questions. Let's say they don't refer you or anything. You just ask questions and they give you useful advice for whatever field it is that you want to go into.
Yeah, I would say like the first thing that you have to realize is nobody owes you anything, right? There's no reason why they would refer you. They don't owe anything to you. So just come in with an open mind, be really interested in have like a genuine interest in their work and what they do, um, and build a good relation. Again, they really don't owe you anything, and so don't come in feeling discouraged or feeling like you need something from somebody. It's really just about having like a genuine interest in what people do, right?
Hmm. And someone in the chat just asked, at what level should you look for internships because they just changed their major to engineering and haven't taken any of the basic classes yet, and we're wondering if they should wait to take those before they look for internships or if kind of
Hmm.
just the skills
Oh,
learned outside matter more.
I have an answer to this. I'd say you should apply like now. It doesn't matter what year you are in school or like what experiences you have. You should always be applying for internships like every cycle. And the
Hmm.
reason is because by doing the process, by applying, by reading through job descriptions, by maybe even interviewing, you'll gain very useful experience. And even if you fail an interview, that's good for you because you've learned exactly what the companies are looking for, what sort of things and questions they ask, what sort of topics you'll get asked, and you can use that as practice for yourself. And so I think you should always be applying for internships, exploring opportunities, and doing things to prepare yourself, and so that once you are confident, once you do have the skills, you don't have to worry about how an interview works because you've already done all that.
I agree. And like applying for internships is one of those situations where the absolute, or for the most part, the absolute worst case scenario is that you just don't hear back from them, which means nothing changed because that was the default to begin with. And so basically, there's nothing to lose and there's everything to gain because if you are constantly applying, all you need is to get lucky once and it changes everything. And in your case, you haven't taken like the basic fundamentals, but you could still learn skills outside of school. I know this might not go for everyone, but at my internship that I'm at right now for mechanical engineering, I don't know what engineering you're going into, but I'm not really using anything I've learned in class because I mean, I'm not going to solve integrals at my interview or at my internship. Like, it's more the hard skills that I've learned, like SolidWorks, stuff like that, because you won't get into those deeper classes until like your like sophomore and up years. And so for that first internship, especially if you're aiming for it like soon, it's more the skills that you would teach yourself outside of school.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like it's all a all a numbers game, especially in freshman year. Um, my first internship had nothing to do with Tesla, and I was able to get the interview and internship after my freshman year, just because I guess the recruiter saw potential. I don't think I had any relevant experience to the job, or there could have been better candidates than me. So I would say don't let like the rejections, like what Mark said, don't let the rejections stop you. Put in those numbers.
Hmm. I'm gonna move to the next question. I think we should try to answer a little faster just because there's like 20 more questions in here. Um,
Oh shit. Okay.
I mean, you guys don't have to stay in past 8 if you don't want to, but I will just to get through all of them, but we'll definitely try to move a little faster. The next one is what software slash skills should you know to be able to be successful in mechanical engineering? I'll let you answer that one first.
Yeah, I would say your basics CAD software, so any 3D CAD software. SolidWorks is a good start, and then you can get into the more deeper ones that are like more industry standard, like CATIA or NX. And FEA is a good tool, so using like ANSYS, or even the SolidWorks has its own FEA tool. But yeah, those are kind of like the two main ones I would say for to start off with.
And also for to be successful in any engineering, it's also just your people skills, being able to talk to people, communicate effectively, especially in interview settings, being able to kind of tell a story with your projects. All right, I'm gonna move to the next one now. What are the most important topics and classes that one should focus on to improve their skills as an engineer? I'm guessing for mechanical, but you guys can both answer for each of your respective disciplines.
Yeah, I'd say for mechanical, all the applied courses, so heat transfer, thermodynamics, materials, mechanics, and dynamics, I would say are the most important ones. Calc is not really calc, and all those math courses are not really important. But yeah, it all depends on the field. But I'd say those five.
Again, I think actually one of the takeaways that I got from working with a senior engineer at an internship was that everything will be useful once in your life. So a lot of people say that, oh, all these classes that I've learned are not useful. I don't like school. I think this stuff is all useless. Well, maybe you haven't seen enough yet. Because in my opinion, you're gonna reach a point in life where you've done a lot of different things, right? You've worked on a lot of different projects. You've worked at many different companies. You've worked on all sorts of different industries and fields, and you're gonna find out that yeah, everything that you've learned actually has a use, and everything that you've learned will come back to you in some way or another. So I think take every class seriously. I think everything is important, and it's a lot about college is about how it's about training your skills to learn, right? It's not just the content in a class, it's training if you can learn something effectively. And so having that building that foundation of learning, I think, is very important for you to keep up in the industry.
Those are some good answers. I'm going to move to the next one. What key points in your interviews made you stand out? What kind of questions did they ask? What did you discuss? And do you think coming from a prestigious college matters a lot when landing interviews for internships? I'll let one of you guys answer first.
I can start. So on the behavioral side, like I said, you're going to be asked a lot about, experiences that you have. And so the really important thing is actually having these experiences, because then you can talk about it confidently. You can talk about it, in a realistic way. And the people interviewing you can immediately tell if you're making up a bad answer on the spot. And they can immediately tell if somebody's actually really experienced by being able to answer these behavioral questions. And then on the technical side of things, they love talking about one specific topic, but going into it deeper and deeper and deeper to really not test your skills per se, but really test your thinking. Right? Are you thinking about the entire? Are you thinking about everything possible with their questions? Are you thinking about the entire system? Are you thinking about trade-offs? And again, to kind of practice your thinking is very, I mean, the way you practice your thinking is by having experience working on it as well. So it all comes down to having the experience and having done actual engineering being in the engineering process that will help you a lot and make you stand out significantly in your interviews. And then other than that, it's just, having passion on the project. I think I'm always very passionate about this field, and I've always been told, like, you're a really passionate dude when you talk about things. And so I think that really helped me out as well to stand out in the interviews.
Yeah, I would agree with Dexy for like behavioral side. I guess for mechanical engineering on the technical side, a lot of it is material science for yeah, material science, mechanics. I've gotten asked like a bending beam question pretty much every technical interview I've had, and also like design for manufacturing, I would say. And yeah, there's obviously mechanical engineering is so broad that they could literally ask you anything, but those are kind of the more common ones I've been asked.
Oh, I would also say if you put something on your resume, be prepared to talk about it.
Yeah, don't
Yeah,
put
if you
something
if
you
you
don't
have
really
something
know
on your
about.
resume,
Yes.
they'll 100% like if you have enough interviews to go through, you're gonna get 100% coverage on everything on your resume. So if you have something on there that you are really not confident about, then maybe don't put it on there
Yeah.
because it could hurt you.
All right, next question. I'm just going to answer it really quickly because we already touched on it. How do you get your chances to get replies from people on LinkedIn up? And like, how do you know when you're not being annoying when messaging them? The truth is, when you're messaging enough people, you're going to annoy at least one of them, or they'll just ignore you. But the way you get your chances of replies and an actual connection up is coming from a place of genuine interest and curiosity as opposed to wanting something. If you come in wanting to just learn from them, learn about their career, listen to them, say everything they've like done, all of their experience, the big takeaways that they have, then you'll get a much better response rate versus here's my resume, would you refer me? I'd love the company you work at, like really surface level stuff. All right, I'm gonna move to the next question. Say you were a rising senior who only had recently discovered that they wanted to become an engineer. What path would you take to set yourself up for success in college applications? I'll let one of you guys answer first.
Let's see. I definitely do the classes like calculus and physics for engineering. Any engineering major, you should really have those in your class list. Um, Again, getting involved in high school is a really important thing. And so if you're a rising senior, you still have plenty of time doing that. And then lastly, it's going to be college app season for you, and that could be very stressful. I know I was very stressed when I had to apply for college. And so you can start early, really. You can, look into college application essay prompts now and think about how you would write them and think about all the things that you've done in high school and packaging them to make yourself packaging them in your application. And really, it doesn't have to be about engineering. I've got plenty of friends who have done like nothing related to engineering, but still got into very good colleges. And colleges really care about you developing your interest in college. So not everybody has to come out of high school being a good engineer. You can learn everything you need to starting in college, and so there's no like hurting your chances by going for an engineering major without having an engineering background in high school.
Basood, if you want to add anything.
Um, I don't know how much I can speak on it because I guess the application process is a little bit different in Canada. But yeah, a
Hmm.
lot of it is getting. We don't really have much of a choice. We have to choose specific courses. Like our schools have different specific courses you need to take to apply for that program. But yeah, taking those courses obviously you would need to, getting good grades in them, and extracurriculars are a big thing. So being involved in a club, a community, team, yeah, and yeah, getting start looking at those prompts for like the interviews if they do interviews for the applications, the essays as well.
I agree with all that. Let me get to the next question. Um, where was I? Okay. What are some study habits you recommend for someone who is a procrastinator? I'll go first. I think the main thing if you're a procrastinator is not being in the mindset of I'm a procrastinator and actively trying to change it. Because I used to kind of be the person that's like, oh, I'm just a procrastinator. It's just who I am. And the truth is, you can change it. It's not exactly easy, but it's something you could definitely change, especially with a lot of effort over time. So it's more than even the study methods and all that. It's just actually studying in the first place, just dedicating the time to study for whatever classes it is that you're struggling with, anything like that. It's just that's going to go a much longer way than the specific study methods. But for actual study methods, I think like for math especially, just literally practicing problems until you can understand not just the kind of steps to solving it, but why those are the steps and kind of the actual what's going on behind it can be really helpful. And for like science type classes, it's just a lot of memorization, like active recall, flashcards, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say in engineering you might get like so much work all at once, and a big thing that kind of hinders your progress is you have so much to do that you just don't do anything. So I would say just kind of pick maybe one course, and then maybe let me do a one practice homework for that course today for 2 hours, and then kind of build on that. So you can kind of do it step by step. Don't just kind of try to tackle everything at once.
Dexy, if you want to add anything, otherwise I'll just go to the next
No, I
question.
think the advice that you guys have given are pretty good.
All right. Someone asked, as a freshman in community college trying to transfer to a university, what tips do you have to a 3.5 GPA? Oh, what tips do you have to get a 3.5 GPA and studying habits, techniques for someone with none? Basically, tips for someone in community college.
So actually, I transferred from community college to my current school, so I can give out some tips about transferring
And
specifically.
really quickly, I'm going to combine this with another question, also community college related. What are some things to pay attention to, take advantage of, prioritize, etc. for the transfer process?
All right, yeah, I can answer this. Um, I think community college is a pretty good resource. Of course, it's going to be different, especially in terms of engineering to a real college, and so that's something you can look forward to. As not real college, a 4-year university. Uh, like so it's something to look forward to when you go to that 4-year university. Is you'll have to start joining clubs and getting professor connections and really getting involved in the 4-year university. But when you're in community college, one of the best things you can do for yourself is really to just take all the classes that are basic requirements in university, right? So like your basic math and science classes, and sometimes even like the common engineering classes will be offered in community college. In addition to that, they'll have your English language classes, your history classes, some of your like common electives, and so definitely take all those classes in community college because it's much cheaper, and once you transfer, you'll get all the credit. Mostly, you'll mostly get all the credit you need, and that will help you significantly in the 4-year university because you don't have to worry about these classes anymore. If you have a specific place in mind that you want to transfer to, I suggest looking at their transfer table, like immediately. So most schools have a table where they have like your community college or your current university and their classes, and the table will show you a comparison between your classes and their classes and tell you which one will receive full credit. And so do look into that so that you can choose your classes to maximize your received credit. That's super important. And then you can also get involved in community college. You don't have to be super involved. Um, I have some friends who are involved though, and it's a good way to start getting those skills to make connections and network and have friends in community college. That's a pretty special one as well because I think it's a little bit harder to make friends in community college, but it's definitely possible. And so having friends is definitely going to make your experience a lot better and more enjoyable.
Awesome. I'm gonna move to the next question now. If you happen to land only one or not many internships by the time you're a senior in college, what do you think are some good things that might help your resume in the job market for still being able to land engineering jobs? I'll go first and say, obviously, doing well in your classes and understanding all of the fundamentals, anything like that, that you'll actually be applying is very useful. And two, you can still try to get involved, whether it's a club, anything like that. Like any sort of projects will go a long way, especially if you have no experience at all. And you don't exactly need all these different internships. If all you did was just get involved in clubs and learn outside of school, you'd still probably be better off than a decent portion of engineering students who kind of did nothing outside of school. But definitely just getting involved and trying to learn as much as you can in the time you have remaining. But I wouldn't stress about it too much. Like, you don't need an insane amount of internships. You also have the rest of your entire career to kind of build up, get all the stepping stones to get to where you eventually want to be. I'll let one of you guys answer if you want to add anything, or I'll go to the next question.
Yeah, I think what you said is good. Yeah, just try to get involved in something, and if you have no experience, any experience is good. So yeah.
All right, next question is, how did you get your internships, and what would you say were the main factors? Was it grades, projects, experience, interview, skills, etc.? And what was your job search process like, and how did you kind of go about best optimizing your odds for landing interviews?
Well, to get your odds higher, you just have to apply more, right? It's
Yeah.
like people said, it's a numbers game. So the more you apply, the more chances that you'll have at landing the internship. And in terms of actually landing it, well, it's a two-step process. The first step is getting your resume passed through their eyes. Maybe it's a system, maybe it's recruiters looking at it. In my experience, somebody, like a real person, will always be looking at your resume before it goes to the interview stage. They might have a pre-filter that's an automated system. They might have something to filter a large group out, but once it gets to that stage when they want to determine whether or not they want to interview you, it's going to be a person that's looking at your resume. So not only do you have to make sure that your resume has all those key points to pass an automated system, it also has to be actually human readable. You have to have things that a person can read and easily understand, and that will help you out a lot in terms of passing the resume check. And then, like I said, in interviews, you just have to be able to really present your experience as well and make the interviewee understand that, make the interviewer understand that you have the experience and able to think about, and you have the experience and the ability to think about, details of a problem.
Masood, if you want to add anything, otherwise I'll go to the next question.
Yeah, I would say, like everyone has said, volume is a big thing. Yeah, just put in those numbers. And then once you start to get more experience, if you start to land more internships, I would say start to tailor your resume to specific job applications. Again, that will just boost your application even more because you have like specific experience to that role. And if you're doing a lot of applications, suggest also tracking them in some sort of like spreadsheet, like in Excel. That's what I did because once you do get that internship, sometimes they say, "Hey, we want to interview you for this role," and you might not know what that role like specifically is. Like they might just give you, "Hey, it's for the mechanical engineering intern." So if you could always go back to the role, you can see the job description and the potential questions that they can ask you during the interview. And yeah, yeah, that's what I would suggest.
Awesome. Okay, next question is what programming language is best to learn as a mechanical engineer, and what resources would you say are useful to learn said language? I'll let you answer that one first, Masood.
Yeah, I haven't really been into like software that much. I did take like a C++ programming class, which is kind of very basic, but if you want to go into like robotics and stuff, I would say yeah, any of those programming languages, Arduino, good start. And I know for like numerical data analysis, MATLAB is a very big software like coding language for mechanical engineers. So if that's something you wanted to do, I would suggest learning MATLAB because a lot of courses, especially in like third year, MATLAB, and I know in a lot of jobs they ask for MATLAB. So yeah.
hmm I would say, for the most part, for like other than the really MATLAB heavy stuff, you could learn Python, and I feel like that'll get you covered for most stuff that you'd be using programming for as a mechanical engineer. But like, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard it a decent amount of time that it matters less what kind of specific language you learn and more so the depth you learn it. Because, I mean, to my understanding, a lot of them can do very similar stuff. Some might have a simpler syntax or slightly different ways that they work, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure they all kind of do similar stuff. So it's less the specific language and more just getting proficient with it to where you can do the stuff that you need to actually do. All right, I'm going to move to the next question. As someone doing research during the summer to gain experience for future internship opportunities, how would you advise I phrase my experiences? So, I guess like the wording on the resume. I'll go first. I think a, the best way that I've seen to word kind of your bullet points on your resume is task, action, result. So, what was the task or problem at hand? What action did you take? What kind of skills were used? All that stuff. Did you use like any sort of simulations, anything like that? And how did you apply them? And then the result, which is like, did it work? Was it X% better? For the results, you definitely want, if you can, to have a tangible result, which I'm sure in research you will. Like, for example, if you're redesigning a part, it was X% lighter, X% more aerodynamic, X% longer battery life, something like that, that kind of provides context to how much or how little you actually helped. I'll let one of you guys answer if you want.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, make sure you have like a tangible number to your results. And once you get an internship, I would, if you don't know a specific number, just ask your manager, be like, hey, how much did this improve this? If you don't know specifically, um, and I wouldn't suggest lying, but if you finish your internship or you finish the project and you didn't really track it, um, you can maybe approximate, but just make sure 100% you know how, like an interviewer will ask, how did you measure this result? So make sure you know what you're putting on your resume if you do approximate.
And if it is a project where you kind of, there's literally no way to get a tangible result, or even if it's like a personal project where you're not really replacing anything, sometimes the result is literally like I ended with a robot arm that can do these functionalities effectively with that's able to lift this amount of weight or something. Like you could try to make it as numerical as you can, or sometimes it's even this part was implemented into the final design. Like that might be your result, and that's better than simply having designed it because that shows that whatever lab you were working in valued your design enough to actually implement it into whatever they're doing. Dexy, if you want to add anything, otherwise I'll go to the next
I
question.
think yeah, you guys have hit other points. I just want to say that for your like title for the job, just put researcher or like research assistant or
Mm-hmm.
research internship. Just be honest about what you did. I think research is a really good job title to be having. So nothing wrong with doing research for the summer.
Yeah, like undergraduate research, like intern, undergraduate research assistant, anything like that. But don't try to put like lead of mechanical or like something that you're not. Okay, next question is, have you found that you needed to learn a lot of the class content independently, or did lectures and tutorials provide enough to where you were only consolidating by yourself? I'll let you two, whichever one of you two, answer it first.
I would say, yeah, course content specifically, it all depends on the course and your professor. I know
Yeah,
some professors provide adequate notes to study, and some don't, and some teach well, and some do. So it's all course dependent and professor dependent. Um, but yeah, I would suggest, yeah, just putting in a lot of practice. Practice will help you, especially in like the math heavy courses.
yeah, I'd say it heavily depends on the one, the professor, two, the school. Some schools are just way more rigorous than others. And three, your like independent knowledge, whether you're someone who learns easily, whether you struggle in this specific subject, will kind of determine whether or not you will have to kind of refer to YouTube videos to supplement your lectures. Or sometimes, especially online classes, you can't exactly just raise your hand and ask the professor something, so you might have to watch a video to answer that question yourself, even though it's a little less effective. So it really kind of just depends. Um, Dexy, this one's I think a little more relevant to you because I'm I think you transferred from your community college somewhere else. It says as someone who wants to transfer to a better university, I don't know if you're saying from a community college or from a different university. My sophomore year, as I feel like Stony Brook is not as competitive, is it worth it?
Again, it depends. The reason why you transfer from community to a four-year university is because you cannot get a bachelor's degree in community college, right? Community college is only 2 years, and afterwards you have to transfer to a four-year university to actually get a degree. And so that's why people transfer from. I mean, not that's why, but that's the reason why everybody has to transfer from community college. When you're in an actual four-year university, that's not too big of a distinction because you can get your degree there. So I've heard it both ways. I've heard lots of people say schools matter. Lots of people say schools don't matter. In my opinion, it's kind of a mix in the real world. You'll find lots of people that come from your school that did have really good outcomes, and you also find a lot of people that come from all sorts of different schools from everywhere in the world that are in the same position as you. So, if you think, how do I say this? Like, transferring is going to maybe cost you more money, or maybe it can save you money if you go to a school that offers maybe better aid or at a cheaper cost. So that's something to think about. But it's going to cost you time as well, right? Doing those transfer applications, having to move, having to, make new connections, do things. If you think that's worth it, then I'd say go for it. But if you don't think that's worth it, I don't think the advantages are as important.
Yeah, I'd say that I kind of agree that the transferring from university to another university process is definitely, it kind of takes a toll both on like when there's just a network reset, you have to make a complete new set of friends, especially if you like literally don't know anyone at that school. And there's always, usually better schools are more expensive for the most part. And so if that school is unreasonably more expensive, or you'll have to take out loans versus at this one you won't, then you really have to consider how helpful it is. And for the most part, if it's slightly marginally better, it's usually not really exactly worth it unless it's like just way better. Like I know a lot of I go to University of Texas at San Antonio. A lot of people try to transfer to UT Austin because it's a substantially better school and there's a decent pipeline for transferring. So like in that case it makes decent sense, but if it's kind of like a slight increase of competitiveness or prestige of the school, I would say for the most part it's not worth it. And even if it's a huge increase, you have to take in mind like the costs and all of that stuff. Masood, if you want to add anything, otherwise I'll head to the next question. There's only like 6 left.
Yeah, no, I think you guys covered it.
All right. Um, is it worth to take lecture classes online versus in person for your general ed classes?
My opinion on that is, yeah, actually, it's fine. A lot of my friends would have the same experience, which is when you have so many classes in a semester, you run out of bandwidth to attend every single class in person and do work for every single class. You really you run out of bandwidth to be able to do that and be able to join club meetings and social gatherings and have time to yourself at the same time. So I think taking an online class for some of your general eds is perfectly fine. It allows you to be much more free in terms of your schedule, and you'll get the same experience. I think mostly the same learning experience in the end. So it's no problems in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's honestly, for the most part, just more beneficial to take them online because, like Dexy said, you can kind of work it around your own schedule versus working your own schedule around your classes. It just makes your life a lot easier, and also sometimes like you won't have to spend the 3 hours a week learning because it's just an easy class, and so you can actually kind of pull back and spend less time on it if you realize it's not really a class that takes that much of your time. And unlike your core, I mean, like your engineering classes, I'm not going to say that they're not important, but they're much less important that you have to, like, it matters much less if you retain everything from these classes and you know absolutely everything about everything. So, like, you kind of can spend less time on those and more on everything else that might matter. Masood, if you want to add anything to that, or if you just want me to go to the next question.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it well. So.
All right. Next, this will be more for Dexy. As an incoming electrical engineering freshman in college, what specific skills should I learn to stand above others? Additionally, what specific projects did you do that you put on your first internship? Oh, wait. What specific projects did you do that helped you land your first internship?
So in terms of specific skills, in my opinion, I'm a circuits guy. I really like building and designing circuits, and in my opinion, one of the big things that will really help you gain intuition and understanding of what you designed is circuit simulator tools. So something like LT-Spice, Q-Spice, or any of the Spice software is super useful and can get you very accurate results. And you can experiment with all sorts of different things inside of Spice. And to my surprise, seems like not a lot of people learn to really leverage circuit simulations in college. And so, just download the software. It's free. It's very easy to get started with it. You can go online and look at all sorts of people using this simulator to build all sorts of different circuits. Um, I think it really helps you significantly when you're starting with electrical engineering, and you're going to use this skill from now to basically the end of your career. You're going to be simulating circuits all the time when you're actually working in the industry. So I think super fun, super easy to learn. It's not a paid software either. It's all free tools, and it's going to really help you develop your skills. In terms of projects, I did something that was like really to my interest. I've built a power converter with our school solar racing team. I was involved with helping kind of the validation and design of the power converter, and actually that has taught me a significant amount of experience and knowledge on power converters.
All right, I don't know if you stopped talking or if you cut out, um, but I'll move to the next question. Let me just let me let him know that we can't hear him really quick. All right, for now, I'll move to the next question. This one will be more for you, Masood. as an incoming senior in high school and planning on taking mechanical engineering, what should I do senior year to prepare? What type of skills should I learn? How should I be spending my time at home to be productive? Do I need to do any of that? Additionally, I've seen mechanical engineering college students on TikTok say that it's super work heavy and takes all of your life for 4 years and drains you. How true is this?
I would say it depends on your school, but yeah, obviously engineering is not easy, but it's definitely not like something where like, oh my God, this is too much. But I feel like as long as you, yeah, just take your time to, you know, practice when it comes to homework, practicing, finding what methods work best for you for learning the content and practicing the content will help you succeed in engineering. And in terms of outside of school and like internships, um, yeah, just getting involved, like how we mentioned, for like half the questions here, getting involved with the design team, one project, and yeah, it's all time management. So finding the right fit and way to do.
I agree. I think that from this message, it sounds like this person saying, "Do I even need to do all that?" I think you might slightly kind of be stressing yourself out a little too much by trying to think of every single possible thing you could do to optimize your career path. And the truth is, if you're in high school and you're already trying to prepare, you're already ahead of most students, like we said earlier. You don't need to be doing everything every waking second, even just like a couple hours a week, if even, of learning stuff outside of school, kind of familiarizing yourself with specific skills that would be useful, like 3D CAD, whether it's Fusion 360 or the SolidWorks Student Edition or Onshape or anything like that. That's probably the biggest main skill that you'd want to familiarize yourself first, because I mean that's what most mechanical engineers use. It's what you'll use when you join school kind of clubs in college. And I mean, I might be speaking too early because I've only finished my first year, but in terms of the workload, for sure your first year won't be that bad. I'm sure it gets much harder, but I don't think it's gonna like absolutely drain the life out of you. Like people still have a life doing engineering, being successful, everything like that. And like all the memes you see of like Waterloo engineer, like he's bald after 4 years, I think a lot of those are a big exaggeration. That's definitely not like just the normal state that most engineers are when they graduate. Um, the next question, I'm just going to answer this really quick and then we'll move on. What type of laptop should I aim for? In the, where is it? The tech recommendations, I have a pinned message just saying all of the specs that you should aim not to fall below on your laptop. I mean, you can look for the most optimal laptop for the most optimal price, but for the most part, just buy any laptop that doesn't fall below those specs and you should be fine. Next question is, are you worried about being able to land a job and make money after college with your degree? I'll let both of you answer for your respective disciplines.
I'm gonna answer real quick because I have to go, but yeah, I'll
Uh-huh.
just answer this. Um, I would say no. I think everyone has their own journey. It'll work out. It'll work out as long as you just put that work in and um, you know sometimes it might be hard, but I feel like you have very long career, and even I've seen people do transition 5, 10 years into their career. So it's definitely, if you're not doing something you really like as soon as you graduate, that it's definitely not going to determine what you're doing down the line. So I would say, yeah, just take it step by step and um, trying to, yeah, better what you're trying to do, and um, continue to work hard is what I would suggest. But yeah, I would say thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. I have to go, but if you
Yeah,
have any
sorry if we're like 40 minutes over.
nah, you're good, you're good. Don't worry. Thank you to you as well, Diego. But yeah, if you have any questions, I'll answer. But
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, later.
Hmm. All right, Dexy, also you can leave whenever you want if you need to, but if you want, you can answer the
Let's
question.
do one more question, and then I
Yeah.
think we can go from there.
Hmm. Okay. Best piece of advice, we already answered that one. Okay, last question. How would you approach networking with larger companies since there are so many more employees compared to smaller ones? Are you selective of who you reach out to based on their major or role? I'll let you answer first.
Ooh, this is a tough one for me because I've actually never had to network with the larger. Oh, actually, that's not true. Some of the larger companies have came to like certain events at either my school or some conferences outside of my school, and I've been to those events to talk to those people. I never really asked for a reference, a referral, or anything like that. But it's good just being able to talk to somebody about what they do, what their work involves, what's the company culture like. I think that's super important because, if you do the interview, you'll have a lot of good talking points to say, and you'll have a lot of knowledge about the company in general, which will look good for you. So I think one thing, in my opinion, that's something that I believe in is that you don't always have to ask for a referral, and it's kind of daunting for you and the person that you're talking to always be in this state of, oh, could you please refer me, could you owe me something, you owe me something. Like I said, nobody owes you anything, and so just having a genuine interest in their work, in what they do, in just in being a part of the community, I think is super important. So when you do get to talk to people in large companies, don't start with the referral part, don't start with the needing something from them. It's more about just learning about their work and giving them that genuine passion that you have.
I agree, and I will say that I feel like there's not much of a difference in terms of your actual outreach, especially on like if it's on LinkedIn or something, from an engineer who works at a small company or a startup versus a bigger company. I mean, the process is the same. You're just sending them a message, seeing if they respond, talking to them. But for a bigger company, in terms of being selective of who you reach out to based on their major or role, I would say you don't need to be super selective because I mean it takes like 5 seconds to message someone. But like as a mechanical engineer, I'm probably not going to reach out to like the senior software engineer at a company because what they know, while they are very knowledgeable, it might not really apply much to my situation. Their referral might not mean a lot because they're not actually an engineer on the team that I would want to work on. So definitely target people on the team or at least within the department that you plan on going into. And that's the last question we'll answer today. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Dexy, for joining and staying
No
till the
problems.
very end.
This was fun. I hope
Hmm.
we answered some pretty good questions that you guys had, and yeah, good luck to everybody. This was good.
Yeah,
Appreciate
good
it.
luck, everyone. I appreciate you for staying all the way through. I should be posting a recording. Hopefully, everything was captured correctly after this. So if you want to go back and look at anything, I think this performed decently well. So I'll look into making this a recurring thing with possibly different guests. I might ask people who I know to join and do stuff. So, yeah, thanks
See
everyone.
you
I
all
really
around.
appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.